The third lesson of the Maamer Godol Yihyeh Kevod Habayis Hazeh, Maamer from that the Rabbi gave out for Shabbos Nachamu 5750. The Maamer that talks about the greatness of the Beis HaMikdash, specifically of the third Beis HaMikdash. In the previous two lessons, we learned mostly about the advantage and the greatness that there is in the third Beis HaMikdash over the first and second, and specifically with the fact that the third Beis HaMikdash will come after the Galus that is a result of the destruction of the first, and even more so of the second, because then it has the idea of tshuva. Tshuva meaning that in order to reach a level that's beyond the concept of beyond limitation, in order to reach a level that's beyond the natural world, for that there has to be the idea of tshuva. So before we continue with what we're going to learn now in Ois Dalet, a very interesting story that happened with the Untitled Rebbe. We know that the Untitled Rebbe was by nature, had a very weak nature in the physical sense, and he could very easily get sick. And therefore his father forbade him to fast. His father pushed him that he has to take care of his health, he has to eat properly, etc. One time, someone mastered on him, someone told his father, the Alter Rebbe, that he had fasted. So the Alter Rebbe called in his son, the Untitled Rebbe, and he said to him, because you fasted, you're getting a knas. I'm going to fine you that you can't come the next few times and I'm going to say Chassidus, which for the Untitled Rebbe, for him Chassidus was his life. The fact that he couldn't come to hear Chassidus was a very big punishment. But then his father asked him, why did you fast? You know that I don't allow you to fast. Why did you fast? So the Untitled Rebbe said, no, this time I fasted. There was a reason why I fasted, because I had a bad dream. And according to halacha, when a person has a bad dream and he's afraid, then he fasts, and that's the reason why I fasted. So his father said, tell me the dream. And so he told him, Alter Rebbe, that I dreamed that there was a river, and over the river there was a plank of wood. And first, the Baal Shem Tov walked over that plank of wood, and the river was quite calm. And yet, when the Baal Shem Tov walked over the plank of wood, he walked a little bit, took a few steps, but then he couldn't continue, he turned back. Then the Maggid walked over the plank of wood, and he walked a little further, and this time the river was a bit stormier. But he managed to walk a bit further, but again he turned back. And then says the Untitled Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe, you walked over this plank of wood, and the waters were terribly stormy, to the extent that they covered your feet fully. And yet, you walked on this plank of wood as if you were walking on the sturdiest highway. And you walked straight across the river. And so the Alter Rebbe turns to the Untitled Rebbe and he says, and that's what you call a bad dream? My teachers, the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid, they created tzaddikim. Whereas I created Balei Tshuva, I made Balei Tshuva, and that's why I was able to go over this water. The concept of the difference between tzaddikim and Balei Tshuva is that a tzaddik can reach the highest level of completion possible within the realms of the world. But when Hashem created the world, the whole purpose is not only that we should reach perfection within the world, but that we from below should reach a level that's beyond the world, beyond the natural, even spiritual worlds. Similarly, when we talk about the first Beis HaMikdash and the second Beis HaMikdash, they are the completion of godliness within the world, and even the second Beis HaMikdash that came as a result of the destruction of the first, it's nevertheless still the idea of a completion of godliness within the world, because it was even the sins, as we explained in the previous lesson, even the sins that were committed that had to be fixed. It was all things that can be confined and that can be measured by the worldly understanding. The concept of the third Beis HaMikdash is completely and totally the idea of Balei Tshuva, meaning the destruction came as a result of a sin that reaches the essence, a sin that's an essential concept, something that has to be fixed by reaching the very essence, and that's the very essence that's revealed in the third Beis HaMikdash. However, now, in order to fully and properly understand the idea of the third Beis HaMikdash, the Rebbe says we first have to understand in general the whole concept of what is the meaning of a Beis HaMikdash. And to preface with the idea that we know that the natural world that Hashem created is in a manner of Olam, Shana, and Nefesh. Olam means space, Shana means time, and Nefesh means objects. Those are the three aspects that express the idea of the natural world. Our natural world is confined in confines of time, of space, and of objects, of beings, of things. Now, if we'll look a step further into the idea of what happens in the natural world, there's a famous story of Rabbi Yitzchak of Barditchev, that he turned to Hashem and said, you put Jews in a world, in a physical world, in a world where godliness is not felt, godliness is not revealed, and yet what's revealed and what's obvious and what seems to be the reality is the physical existence. And you're surprised and shocked that people sin. Why don't you try the opposite? Put people in a world where spirituality, where godliness is revealed and open, and write in the books about the desires, the taivas of the physical and material world. Let's see who's going to sin then. And the truth is, this is something which we deal with. This is a problem or an issue that we deal with in our world, but that's how Hashem put us. Hashem wants us to be in a world where godliness is not apparent, where it's hidden, but then nevertheless we should be able to recognize and realize the truth of Hashem. How does that happen? And therefore Hashem put that in these three aspects that are the physical world, Olam, Shana, Nefesh, space, time, and being, Hashem put in each one of them something which is the ultimate of what it's all about, where godliness is revealed. The aspect of that is what's known in the words of Chassidus as Yichida. Yichida means single and one with Hashem. And that is the fact that there is what's called the Nitzutz Nivra, Shenislabish by Nitzutz Bayre, meaning the spark of the creation. Each creation, each thing has its spark. Its spark is what its essence is. And within that essence, there's constantly a spark of the Creator that constantly recreates, and where that is felt no matter what over there. And similarly, in the whole realm of time, in the whole realm of space, and the whole realm of being, there is that Yichida. The Yichida in space is the Beis HaMikdash. There's one place in the world where godliness is fully revealed. This is a place where you can go to and you'll see in it space that's beyond space. You'll see within it the fact that there's constant miracles that are constantly happening in that place. You'll go into the place and feel the inspiration of the reality that really all space in the world is truly godliness. So the purpose of the Beis HaMikdash, and as we spoke in previous lessons, is the chaloines shkufim atumim, that the godliness of the Beis HaMikdash is spread from there to the entire world. It reveals the whole aspect of space, how space itself is really an expression of godliness. In truth, we have this also in time. In time, it's the idea of Shabbos, Yom Tov, and most of all, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, the highest time, the Yihyeh of time. In people, we also have that, and that's a Rebbe in each generation, who there's the Rashi Alpha Yisrael, there's the heads, the leaders of Jews, who in them it's more revealed, and most of all, in the one Tzaddik Yisrael Olam, the Moshe Rabbeinu, the Yihyeh of the whole generation, who in him it's felt the oneness and the reality of godliness in the world. Now we're going back into the explanation of the Beis HaMikdash as a space where godliness is felt and revealed, and we're explaining it in the letters, in the words that are expressed and taught in Kabbalah and in Chassidus, and especially in Chassidus. And then once we understand that, we can go back to the understanding of what's special specifically in the third Beis HaMikdash. And so the Rebbe says in Ois Dalet, the Rebbe begins, Ubi or mailas bayis hashlishi, al bayis rishon v'sheni, the explanation of the advantage specifically of the third Beis HaMikdash over the first and second. And the Rebbe continues to say, Gam al bayis sheni k'moi shaya roi liyos, bitzuras atavnis the bayis hashlishi, even over the second Beis HaMikdash as it was supposed to be, in the form of the third Beis HaMikdash, meaning like we said earlier, that in a certain sense the second Beis HaMikdash had in it a certain aspect of the third Beis HaMikdash. It also came after Galus, after destruction, after tshuva, after fixing the idea of destruction. It was supposed to be, as we quoted from the Gemara, that Roi Liyos, this building was supposed to be or was worthy of being the same as the third Beis HaMikdash, in the same form as the third Beis HaMikdash, and yet it wasn't. Even had it been, the Rebbe explained, in the form of the third Beis HaMikdash, and it would have lasted forever, etc., it still wouldn't have the true greatness of the third Beis HaMikdash, because it was lacking tshuva on a total descent, on a complete and full descent. What is that idea? Yuvan behekdim amayla the Beis HaMikdash bichlal. We can understand this by first prefacing and understanding the greatness of the Beis HaMikdash in general, which that's something that's explained specifically in Chassidus, the Maamer of the Rebbe Rashab, from the year Tafrei Samach Hey. It's 1905. And over there, the Rabbi Rashab explains at length the concept of the third of the Beis HaMikdash and what it's all about. Now the Rebbe is going to quote and explain this it's a deep explanation in Chassidus, because it's explaining how we have the idea of space, but a space in the world that expresses beyond space. And so the Rebbe says the following. Since we're explaining that the whole idea of the Beis HaMikdash is the greatness of space, so it's not just the fact of the actual Beis HaMikdash, but even the place of the Beis HaMikdash, the Makim HaMikdash, Gam Lifnei Binyan Beis HaMikdash, Ulemayla Yeser Me'amakim D'Chala Elam. The space in which the Beis HaMikdash was built, even before the actual Beis HaMikdash was built there, is higher than the rest of the space of the world, and that's something which we're going to come to explain. And the truth is that this is an idea which also in Nigla de Torah, in the halachic part and aspect of the Beis HaMikdash, the Beis HaMikdash is called, especially by the Rambam, the Beis HaBchira, the chosen house. And the explanation is that this house is chosen by the essence of Hashem. Hashem chose not just the building of the Beis HaMikdash, but the space of Har HaMoriah in Yerushalayim, on Har HaMoriah, is that place specifically that was chosen by Hashem to be the place of the Beis HaMikdash. This choice isn't something because of something special that's in this place, but Hashem chose this place to make it be something that can reveal in the rest of space what space is all about, which brings a halachic difference that once the Beis HaMikdash was built in Yerushalayim, up until then there was depends while there was a mikdash, they couldn't bring karbanis, they couldn't bring offerings to Hashem, animal offerings to Hashem in any other place. But once that place, for example, Shiloh, etc., was destroyed, then they were allowed to bring in other places. But the Beis HaMikdash, once it was built in Yerushalayim, now it came to its home, to the chosen place, and now even when it's destroyed, we're not allowed to come to any other place and bring a burnt offering to Hashem in any other place in the world. In addition to that, in truth and in essence, the full completion of the Beis HaMikdash will be the third Beis HaMikdash. But in a certain sense, once the first and second Beis HaMikdash were built, it already brought out this idea, it already expressed the idea, which will be fully expressed in the third Beis HaMikdash, to the extent that also now, once the Beis HaMikdash was built there, so that means Hashem already chose the place. Although the place was chosen from the beginning of creation, it was chosen as the place that Hashem will choose. But when Hashem chose the place, once He chose the place, it's also forbidden to go there in the place where the Beis HaMikdash was, because now this place has the holiness forever and ever, and it will be fully realized when the third Beis HaMikdash will be built. So that's the idea of the chosen space of the Beis HaMikdash, the place, the area upon which the Beis HaMikdash was built. It says in the pasuk, and this was said by Yaakov Avinu, when he came to the place of the Beis HaMikdash, there was not yet a Beis HaMikdash there, and Yaakov Avinu said, "Manoiro hamakim hazeh, how awesome is this space! Ein zeki im Beis Elokim." This is none other than the house of God. V'tirgim Unkelos, and Unkelos in his translation of the Torah explains the words. Ein zekim beis Elokim, leis dein asad hedyoit. This place is not a regular place, which means that we're saying the space, the makim, the area, the space itself upon which the Beis HaMikdash was later built, is not a regular place. It's not a place which is called a asad hedyoit, a regular place. Rather, it's an awesome place. There's something within the space itself that's beyond the space of the rest of the world. And what is that? So Chassidus explains based on these words, Leis dein asad hedyoit, Shamakim dechol ha'olam, hu asad hedyoit. The place, the space of everywhere else in the world is called an asad hedyoit, a place which is a regular place, lefi shenivra ba'asara ma'amarais shenikraim milin dehedyoita. The rest of the world was created with the 10 utterances of Hashem. The 10 utterances of Hashem are referred to in Zohar as milin dehedyoita, regular words, normal words, meaning words which are of a regular aspect, meaning that they come down and create a world which is a limited natural world, a world where godliness is not fully revealed, a world which becomes the natural space of the world. That's the regular place of the world. Whereas Umakim HaMikdash, the place of the Beis HaMikdash, Ein Asad Hediyot, is not at all called an asad hediyot. It's not called a regular place. So the rest of the world is created with Hashem's 10 utterances, which makes it into a normal, regular place, meaning a place that's small, a place that's limited. It's limited to become a physical, natural world. Whereas the Beis HaMikdash is not that at all. Why is the Beis HaMikdash not that at all? Says the Rabbi, the space of the Beis HaMikdash is also a physical space. It was also created with the 10 utterances of Hashem. V'aderab, on the contrary, haschalas v'ikar abriya me'asara mamarais haisa brias even siyah shemimikdash. The beginning, the primary place of the creation that was created with Hashem's 10 utterances was the space of the Beis HaMikdash, the Even Siyah, the cornerstone of the world, which is in the place of the Holy of Holies. And umimena hushtas kol ha'olam, it's called Even Siyah because it was the cornerstone from which the rest of the world was created. Which here we see a paradox. On one hand, the place of the Beis HaMikdash has to be space. If it's not place, then it's a spiritual world. If it's part of the spiritual world, it's part of the world of Yetzirah or Bria or Atzilus. Those worlds are not our physical world. So it won't be able to give us the ability to reveal godliness in the physical world. Because it's the spiritual world. And yet at the same time, it has to be a physical space. Not only that, it's the cornerstone from which the rest of space was created. And yet this space is the space of which is above space. And this is the amazing idea of what we deal with when we talk about the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash, the place of the Beis HaMikdash is exact. It was chosen by Hashem, not for any other reason other than the choice that Hashem chose it. And it's an amazing idea when we talk about it. We know that the Rambam writes in the halachas, in the laws of the Beis HaMikdash, HaMizbeach mekoymoi mechuvan beyeser. The space, the place of the Mizbeach is exact. Because the rest of the Beis HaMikdash, in a certain sense, all centers around the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach is that one place where the creation can connect with the Creator. On the Mizbeach, we elevate the entire type of daimim, the inanimate, through the salt that's put on every carbon. Tzeimeach, the growing, the vegetation, through the flower that's brought with the carbonis. The chai, the animal kingdom, through the animals that are brought. And the midaber, the human, through the fact that it's a human that's bringing the carbon. All of these become one and united with their Creator and totally wound and bound up with their Creator on this space of the Mizbeach. In order for that to happen, it had to be chosen because that is the choice and that is the essential being and the essential purpose of the Creator in creating the world is so that the creation can become completely bound up with the Creator. Where does that happen? On the place of the Mizbeach, a place which was chosen as this specific place. Nothing can change that place of the Mizbeach. In fact, according to halacha, the Beis HaMikdash can be built a little bit off. It doesn't have to be exactly. It has to be on Hara Moriah, it has to be on Mount Moriah, it has to be on that place, but if it's built a little bit different, it's fine. There's one thing that has to be exact, to the extent that when they built the second Beis HaMikdash, there were 3 prophets that came with them to tell them 3 prophecies, and all of them were connected to the Mizbeach. The measurements of the Mizbeach, the space of the Mizbeach, and what's brought on the Mizbeach. Because everything that has to do with the Mizbeach is exact, it's chosen by the very essence of Hashem. It can't change, it's unchanging and unchangeable. That's what the first thing that will show that Mashiach is Mashiach, who he is Yihyeh Mikdash Bimkoima. He will build the Beis HaMikdash in its proper place, which starts from the place of the Mizbeach. The Rebbe adds something else, that in the third Beis HaMikdash, every aspect of it will be exact, and that will be the greatness of Mashiach, that he'll be able to know through his prophecy and through his Ruach HaKodesh, he'll be able to know the exact space of the Beis HaMikdash. Because it has to be exact. That's the first and the beginning of the greatness of this space. Something which has to be exact in a limited physical world. Spirituality is not bound in space. Here, the ultimate essence of everything, the place from which man was created and where man brought a carbon when he was created, where Cain brought and Hevel brought their karbanis to Hashem, and where later Avram Avinu brought the Akedah of Yitzchak, all of those had to be on this exact space because this space was chosen by Hashem. Later it was chosen by Hashem, but they knew that this is the place which will be chosen by Hashem. This space has to be exact in a physical realm, in a physical world. It's the beginning and the cornerstone of the rest of the physical world, of space. And yet we say, Leis Dein Asar Hedyot. It's not confined in the normal, regular confines of the 10 utterances that the rest of the world is. How does that work? And the Rabbi explains, Ki basar ha'mamoros nemar vayomer Elokim. In the 10 utterances, which was the source and the root of the creation of the rest of the world, the rest of the universe. Over there it says, Vayomer Elokim, God said. Each one of those asar ha'mamoros start with the word Elokim, the name Elokim. Uvemakim HaMikdash haya gilui shem Havayim. Whereas in this space, the place, the physical place, where the Beis HaMikdash was eventually built, there was the revelation of the name Habayis, K'meishe Kasuv, and like it says in the pasuk, what Yaakov Avinu said when he came to the place of the Beis HaMikdash, even before the actual building of the Beis HaMikdash was built there, and he said, Achen yesh Habayis b'makom hazeh. True, there is Habayis in this space. Now, what's the difference between Elokim and Habayis? Let's look even first of all at the translation of the words. Elokim, the word Elokim comes from the word strong, powerful. Elokim is the one who's powerful inside the creation of the existence of the world. The one who's powerful and all powerful and all doing, and everything is all the ability and everything is in his hands, as it says in Shulchan Aruch that we think when we say the word Elokim in davening. The word Habayis is the one who makes everything come into existence from above, to the extent, and as Shulchan Aruch says, that he's Haya, Hayve, Yihyeh, was, is, and will be all at one, which means beyond time. He's the one who, Elokim is the one who controls the space of the natural world when it exists, which is why Elokim is the same numerical value as the word Hateva, nature. What is the reality of nature? God. God who runs and controls and is the all-powerful one in the nature of the world. What is Habayis? The one who makes it all come into existence, but he himself is above and beyond it, to the extent that even though there is the concept of time, past, present, and future, but he's beyond that, so that for him all of those past, present, and future are all together, are all one. So in the rest of the world, what is the revelation of that there is in the world? Elokim, the nature of the world, which when a person thinks and realizes, he knows that there is an all-powerful God who runs it all, who controls it all. In the Beis HaMikdash, there's a revelation of godliness that's above the world, Habayis, that's above time and space, that's within space. So that's what the difference between the makom of the world, which is called an Asar Hedyot. The rest of the world is Asar Hedyot, where what is expressed in the world, what's felt in the world, is the 10 utterances of Hashem, which He created as Vayomer Elokim, godliness that comes within the world, that controls the natural world. But where there is a natural world, Habayis is above and beyond that natural world, and that's the revelation there is in the Beis HaMikdash. So now the Rabbi continues and asks in the next paragraph, it's Tzarech Biur, we have to understand. The lecheira seemingly mailas makim HaMikdash, ala makim dechol ha'elam, the advantage and greatness that there is in the space, the place of the Beis HaMikdash, over the space, the place of the rest of the world, hu behagilui shehaya bebeis HaMikdash, the greatness and advantage of the place of the Beis HaMikdash is in the revelation that there was in the Beis HaMikdash. V'lei ba'makom atzmai, not in the space itself. The revelation, meaning the godliness that's revealed in the Beis HaMikdash. As we know, when a person came to the Beis HaMikdash, he felt godliness, he saw godliness. The miracles that happened all the time over there were an expression of godliness. Everything over there was a revelation of godliness, but that godliness is something that comes into the place. But that's not the place itself. Because as we said earlier, the place of the Beis HaMikdash itself was also created with the 10 utterances of Hashem, which are called milin dehedyaita, words which have to do with normal, natural aspect. On the contrary, everything else comes from there. Upirush leis dan dein asar hedyait. And yet what the words of the Targum Onkelos, this is not a regular place, means that the place itself is not regular, but that seemingly is not true. The place itself is just like any other place in the world. It's just that in this place there's a revelation of godliness that's above the world. How and why do we say that the place itself is not an Asar Hedyet? The place itself is different than the rest of the world. So now, in order to explain this, the Rabbi explains this by us understanding what is the creation, what is the secret of the creation of the world. What is there in the world that we call natural, that we call Elikim, and what is there in the world that's called Havaya? What are these two things? So the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya and Shara Yichud Ve'emunah, She'eshavus ha'elam hi mishem Havaya, Havaya loshin mahavem. Now we're coming down to the crux of things. What is really the real existence of the world? How does the world come into existence from Shem Havaya? Havaya means the one that makes everything come into existence. Ella. So then what does Elikim mean? Shebi ma'ishavus hoisa mishem Havaya atzmai haya ha'elam batel b'mitzius. Had the existence that came, the creation and the coming into existence of everything been only from Shem Havaya alone, then the world would cease to exist. Why would it cease to exist? As the Alter Rebbe says over there in Shari Yichud Ve'emunah, that it's just like the rays of the sun when they're within the sun itself, meaning there's a revelation of godliness in the world. The world can't feel itself as an existence when the reality, the source, the root of everything is revealed. Just like the rays of the sun, when they're in the sun, you don't see them as a separate existence. And that's why there had to be, in order to make the world come into existence, there had to be the Shem Elikim. The Shem Elikim serves as a cover, something that's a shield or a filter that hides, that conceals the greatness of Hashem, of Shem Havaya, of the godliness that's in the world. It hides over it, it covers over it, so that the world is able to see itself as a real existence. That's all the entire world. Vayishavus the Maamer HaMikdash hoisa bi'efen sheshem Elokim einay mastir al shem Havaya. Whereas the existence of the place of the Beis HaMikdash was also from Shem Havaya like the rest of the world. But it was in a way that the Shem Elokim doesn't hide over the Shem Havaya, so Shem Havaya remains revealed. V'zeu leis dein asar hedyet. And that's what it means. It's not an asar hedyet, it's not a regular place with the 10 utterances. Ki b'Maamer HaMikdash hayo nirgash b'giloy ha'isavus k'moishu m'Shem Havaya. In the place of the Beis HaMikdash, it was felt openly and in a revealed manner the existence, the way it comes from the name Havaya. Which means an amazing idea and a very important concept for every one of us. We talk about the world, we talk about the natural world, then we talk about the supernatural. What is the natural world? What's the reality of the natural world? Who makes it? Who creates it? Who makes it come into existence? Shem Havaya, that's above the world, that's who's responsible for the existence of the world. Only that had it been that alone, we wouldn't be able to see the world as an existence because we would be overpowered by the reality of Shem Havaya. Instead, what happens? Hashem hides that. He conceals it. There's a tzimtzum that covers over the reality of Shem Havaya, the godliness, which is the truth. And as a result, we're able to see the world as an existence. Comes the Maamer HaMikdash, the place of the Beis HaMikdash, which is also created by Shem Havaya, just like the rest of the world. On the contrary, everything else comes from there. And over there, it's leis dein asar hedyet. There isn't the concealment of Shem Elokim. There isn't the concealment, and therefore one sees the reality that's really there in the rest of the world. The essence of the Beis HaMikdash is not a different place. It's not different than the rest of the world. On the contrary, it's the true reality of what there is everywhere else, which enables us to be able to recognize the true reality everywhere else as well. So that's the idea. Now, in order to explain and understand it, so the Rebbe goes in more in a deeper understanding of what the idea of the difference between Shem Havaya and Shem Elokim. The idea, the concept will be explained. Vayishavus m'Shem Elokim hi b'derech hislabshus b'reishis bara Elokim. The existence as it comes from the name Elokim is in a way of hislabshus, in a way that Shem Elokim clothes itself into the world. Shem Elokim comes into the world in a way of hislapshus, meaning a way that it becomes part of the world. Hislapshus, we're going to explain shortly, mishalim, the different analogies for the idea of hislapshus. But in general, the concept is when a person gets involved in something, that's called hislapshus. Bereishis bara Elokim. Elokim created means Elokim got involved within the physical world to the extent that he's involved in every aspect of the world. Vayishavus m'Shem Havaya hi be'efen de b'derech memeilan. However, the existence as it comes from Shem Havaya is in a way that it's, so to speak, automatic, it's on its own. And as it says in the Pasuk in Tehillim, Yahallelu es Shem Havaya ki hu tziva v'nivrau. They shall all praise the name of Havaya because he commanded and they were created. Meaning, With regards to Shem Elokim, we said Bereshis bara Elokim, Elokim created. He got involved inside the world. He created and was involved in the aspects of the world. Whereas Shem Havaya came from above in a way that it happened automatically, so to speak. Hu tziva, he commanded, vin nivro, it was all created. It all came to be almost as if it's on its own. Because that's how he came, not by being involved in it, but like as if by pushing that automatic button that it happens automatically. Now we explained v'achiluk shebeifan ha'ishavus, the difference in the manner of creation, of coming into existence. Im ha'ishavus hi b'derech memela, ishi b'derech islapshos, whether this coming into existence is in this automatic manner, or that it's in a way of becoming involved in the aspects of the world. Meire al hayachas shel hadavar hamishave lahamakir shemahavosai. This difference, these two manners of creation, show on the relationship that there is between the one that creates, or the level, the godly level and energy that creates, and the thing that's created from it. Why? When the thing that comes into existence is close to the thing that makes it exists, then it happens automatically. What do we mean by that? So we bring now an analogy. Ila v'alul. Like, for example, ila v'alul, cause and effect. When we have something that's cause and effect, the very name cause and effect suggests that the cause is a cause for the effect, meaning the effect happens automatically because of the cause. But that means the cause has some type of connection and some type of relationship with the effect that makes it happen automatically as a result. The kivon she'alulu be'erech ha'ila, being that the effect has a relationship and has a connection to the cause. L'chein ishavus ha'alul mi'a'ila yibiderech memela. That's why when the effect comes into existence as a result of the cause, it's an automatic thing. We give now an example. Like intellect and emotions. Being that the emotion is something which is in the same realm, so to speak, as the intellect. Therefore, through contemplating the idea, there automatically comes to be the emotion which is in conjunction with that intellectual concept. Meaning, we know that in Chabad, in Chassidus Chabad, in Tanya, we explain at length the whole concept of how moyach, shalit al alev, the brain, the mind rules over the heart. In order to have an emotion, and in order for the emotion to be real, a person has to contemplate a specific idea, and as a result of contemplating this idea, the emotion is born. Take, for example, if a person sits in davening or before davening, and he contemplates, he thinks in depth, but he understands in depth all the things he learned in Chassidus about the creation, about how Hashem is the creator and Hashem is the true existence of the world. And he thinks about it and he understands it and he realizes it until his mind becomes completely one with this idea. The automatic thing that happens is that now he starts feeling a feeling of love towards Hashem or of awe from the greatness of Hashem. It's not something that needs a separate thing in between. It's not something that needs to be created, which means essentially within the intellectual idea there really is there inherently in a concealed manner, so to speak, the emotion. The emotion is sort of dormant. It's there in a hidden way inside the intellect. When the intellect is understood to its fullest extent, the next step that happens is that automatically the person feels the emotion. But that's because they relate with one another. Intellect or an emotion are both aspects that have to do with a person, but that have to do with a person's deeper subconscious or deeper place. So the intellect automatically gives birth to the emotion. Then the Rebbe gives a second mashal, which both of these analogies are coming from the Maamerim, from the earlier Maamerim Chassidus, especially from the Rebbe Rashab. And so now the Rebbe gives a second mashal, a second analogy on the idea of tziva v'nivro b'derech memela, of how the existence that comes from Shem Havaya is something that happens automatically. The same thing is also with the light and the luminary. The kivon she'ha'oiru gili ha'mayr l'chein hamtzoas ha'or me'hamayr u'b'derech memela. Being that the light is in essence a revelation of the source of the luminary, therefore the existence of light from the source of light is something that comes automatically. Let's take an example, not looking, because Eir and Meir and Chassidus really relates more to a spiritual energy that comes from its source. But let's take the simplest example of the light of the sun. The sun is the source of light. There's the light that comes from the sun. The sun doesn't have to do anything in order to make the light shine from it. Because what is the light of the sun? The light of the sun is an expression of the sun. Once there's the sun, there's automatically also the light of the sun. That's something which doesn't need anything else in between. Because that's all that the light is an expression of the sun. When there's a sun, there'll be the light. And that's similar, another example to the idea of Ilah and Alul, of cause and effect. So that's one thing. That's when the Mishave, the thing that comes into existence, is close, meaning it has a relationship. It is of the same category, so to speak, as the cause that brings it into being, as the thing that makes it exist. And that's why it happens automatically. Whereas when the thing that comes into existence is far away, it's distant in its relationship, in its connection from the thing that brings it into existence, then in order for it to come into existence, then the thing which makes it exist has to come into it, has to be mislabish, enclose itself inside it, meaning get involved in it and make it happen. It doesn't happen automatically. Why? Because these are of two distant categories. So one thing isn't a cause and an effect. It doesn't happen automatically. It has to make it happen by getting involved in it. Like we said earlier, Bereshis bara Elokim, to create it. Shamahave misasek umishtadel lahave zadavar misave. The one who makes it exist has to get involved, and he has to work to try and make the thing that comes into existence happen and come into existence. Now we're going to go on and explain why it's like that. Vatam lo zehu. What's the reason for this? The Bahisav was shebederech memela iker hadgasha hu gili hamaker. In something that comes into existence automatically, what are we involved with? What are we emphasizing? Cause and effect. What do we have to do? Make the cause be revealed. When the cause is revealed, the effect is automatically revealed. the sun and the light of the sun. If for whatever reason the sun was hidden, how do you make the sunlight become revealed? Not by dealing with the light, by dealing with the sun, by making sure that the sun is revealed. When the sun, the source, is revealed, automatically the thing that comes from it, which is the light, becomes revealed. When the intellect is revealed, automatically, how does one create an emotion? By thinking in depth and making sure to uncover the idea, the intellect, then the emotion comes on its own. And therefore, even though also with regards to cause and effect, where we said, as we said the whole time, that the effect exists as a result of the cause in a way that's automatic. Nevertheless, the effect is not just revealing the cause. It's a separate existence. Intellect and emotions are two separate things. It's its own essence. But mikol makim nirgash b'ya'ila, nevertheless you can feel the cause inside it because it is its own essence. It's an effect. It's a separate thing that's an effect. But the effect is something that came as a result of the cause and of revealing the cause fully. So therefore the cause is fully felt inside the effect. And we bring again to explain this in the analogy of seichel and midas, intellect and emotions. When a person sees an emotion of love, an emotion of fear, of hate, whatever emotion there may be that's felt within the person, one can understand what the intellect that brought it about. Not only there, you can feel inside the emotion how it came to be, from which idea it came to be. But on the other hand, when we're coming to make there come into exist something which is far away from its source, it has to be in a way of involvement. What does islapshus, involvement, mean? Involvement to make something happen isn't that the source becomes revealed. It's not that we're dealing now with more revealing the source. Ella aderab, on the contrary, why are we calling it islapshus? Islapshus means to become enclosed, to clothe it inside something else. Who mislabesh, misasek lavis davar chadash. It puts on clothes, it hides itself. This source that makes it come into existence hides itself. It involves itself to make something new happen, something different, which won't recognize and which won't feel the source. Why? Because you're now making a new existence, an existence that's distant and in a completely different category, so to speak, on a different realm than the thing that made it happen. And that's why in order to make it happen, it has to hide itself, get involved in making a new thing happen. And because of this, then also when it comes into existence, it's now far away from its source and it completely doesn't feel its source. Now, again, we're going to give an analogy for this. We can say, this is similar to the idea of koyach and poil. Koyach and poil means potential and actuality. One of the reasons for the fact that when an actual thing happens from the strength, the power, the potential that makes it happen doesn't come automatically. It has to come through involvement. Shakoyach poyel esapula, the koyach, the power, the potential, makes the thing that the action happen. It has to make it happen. Koyach is potential. It's like a spiritual thing. It's a soul thing. Whereas poyel, actuality, is a physical thing. It has to go get involved in it. Why? Because it's in a totally different realm than the potential. It's known when one makes an action happen, the action is like a new existence compared to the power, to the potential. Kevod is being that the power, the potential, is a spiritual essence, and the actual happening, the action, is a physical one. Physical coming into being from spiritual, action coming into being from potential, from power, is something which is similar to something from nothing. A person is potentially strong. A person can potentially do something. He has the power to do this thing, but from the power to the actuality is a total different realm from one to the other. It's like a new existence. Even though it was there in potential, but potential means nothing. Person says, I can. There's the famous line that the Rebbe says often, that a ganev, a thief, doesn't mean someone who's able to steal. It means someone who steals. A lamdin, someone who learns, doesn't mean someone who can learn. But a lamdin means someone who actually learns. Because the fact that he can do it, he has all the abilities to do it, he has all the energy to do it, he has all the talents to do it, doesn't make it happen. It's nothing. So what he has to do is take it to a new existence to make it happen. So then what is the potential all about? What is these qualities? What is the idea of the fact that the person has the strength or the talents to do it? It's able to make a new thing happen, but the thing that happens is a new thing. Move on, and from this we can understand the fact that sometimes when something happens, you know also the power behind it. You know that there has been a potential behind it. Someone who actually does something, that means he has the talents or he has the potential to do it. What does this mean? What this means is that as a result of the fact that there's action, I know that there had to have been a power, a potential that was able to bring about this action. But it's not that in the action I can see the potential, the power. Unlike Ila ve'olol, cause and effect, that in the effect I can see the cause because it's there, it's in it. The Kevod is being that the power is a spiritual one and the action is a physical one. The spiritual power is not able to be revealed in the physical action. The Rebbe now adds the fact that in the action you cannot feel the power, the potential. It's not just because the action is incomparable, it's on a different realm and category than the potential, but also that the koyach itself, the potential itself, is not able to reveal itself in the action. Why? Since the whole thing of what a power, a potential brings about, is that it creates a new thing which is totally it's incomparable to it, to the power. Therefore, the drawing of the potential to make it make something happen is a hidden drawing. Kipulas davar chadash she'eini berach mikoira yagdis almus hamakir. In order to make a new existence come about, which is incomparable to its source, that can happen only as a result of hiding the source. The opposite of what was with cause and effect. Here we're hiding the source. Only after we stop revealing the source, only then can you create a new existence in that vacuum sort of that was created. Can we have a new existence that's totally incomparable to it? And therefore, the effect, the action that comes from the power, from the potential, is in a way that it's not felt in it. So we have here two separate things, and Mitzvah Hashem in the next lesson, in the next place, we'll continue to explain it a little more and deeper, these ideas, but we have here two separate things, which is cause and effect, in which the creation comes automatically. That's the creation of Shem Havaya, where it's close, where what's created, where what comes into existence is close. It's something which is in the same category as the thing that made it exist, and therefore it's only a revelation of that earlier existence. Then there's a new existence where it's completely distant, where it's in a completely incomparable and unconnected to the earlier existence, where it's a potential that brings out an actuality, and that is the Savos, the existence that comes from Shem Elikim. And therefore the Rebbe continues in this paragraph, Al Derech Zeh U'Lemaila. The same thing is also in the spiritual sense. The existence that comes from the name Elikim, which is in a way that it's enclosed, that Shem Elikim gets involved in the existence that it brings about. Is in a manner that the power that makes it exist isn't felt in the creations. The way Shem Elikim makes a physical world exist is that you don't feel the power in it whatsoever. You don't feel godliness. You don't feel the spirituality in it. And therefore the creations that come into existence from Shem Elikim, Bereishis bara Elikim, they're an existence that feel themselves as an existence, as a separate existence, a separate entity than godliness. The fact that they can bring about within themselves a bittul, a nullification, is only that this existence recognizes there's something deeper and makes itself become nullified. But by definition, they're in existence. Whereas the existence that comes about from Shem Havaya, which is an automatic existence, is in a manner that it's revealed in the creations that come from it, which are more spiritual creations. They are merely a revelation of the godly source and energy that made them come into existence. And therefore their nullification is one where their very existence is nullified, because that's what they're all about. An existence that feels its source and by its very definition is nullified to its source. So these are the two types of existence. And Mitzvah Hashem, in the next ice, we're going to go on to explain it even deeper, the difference between these two, which therefore will understand the difference between the creation of the rest of the world and that of the place of the Beis HaMikdash that comes from Shem Havaya.